Hey YouTube, how's it going? A couple things I wanted to talk about prior to doing this little pickup video. I don't know if you guys have ever noticed this about me, but I always say "and." For example, I picked up Epic Mickey, and it's a great game, and blah blah blah. Um, I kind of know where I got it from now, and I took my grandmother and my mother out for dinner on Mother's Day, and I noticed my grandmother says the exact same thing. It's kind of freaky. And I noticed my mother says the exact same thing as well. So I think it was just handed down from generation to generation. And it's one of those things where I guess, your parents teach you how to speak, and that's one of the things they do. And, that's one of the things I picked up. So it kind of always drove me nuts, but now I know where I got it from. So I want to see if I can try and stop that or decrease the amount of saying and ums again. And we'll see how it goes. Still saying obviously, but whatever. Anyways, what else? I am going to do probably a few cultural videos in the next little while. I actually filmed one yesterday of Aries' first time playing with bubbles in the park, and I'm really debating on putting that one. It's going to up on YouTube regardless, so I'm debating on putting it up as a public video or a private video. I'm still on the fence about that, so we'll see how it goes. I am going to be doing. There's a new aquarium that opened up in the Toronto area, and it's apparently all the rage. And I'm going to be going. I think sometime in June. I'm going, and I was going to film anyways, so I may throw that up as well. I probably will. That one's a pretty easy one to do. Also, probably be going to a Jays game at some point. So I'll be filming there as well, I'm sure. There's a lot of baseball fans out there as well. Lastly, another one I was thinking of was CN Tower. Maybe at some point during the year I'll go to CN Tower. And obviously that's obviously local to Toronto, and it's a Toronto attraction, so maybe you guys want to see that. I don't know. Anyways, let's get into the pickups. And the very first pickup we got here is Epic Mickey, the Collector's Edition. And this was actually brought to my attention by Subway2Saturn. He recently picked it up, and he told me he got it for $10. So I went to my local GameStop because I saw they had one sitting there for the longest time. And I went up to the employee and I said, "Hey, how much is that Epic Mickey?" And he pulled it down and he scanned it. He goes, "Wow." And it came up as $10. So I looked at him, I said, "Sold." So anyway, Subway2Saturn, thank you very much for that heads up, and definitely appreciate that. While I was there, I also picked up Kane and Lynch 2 Dog Days for $3.59. The reason I picked this up is because I have the strategy guide for it. A couple months ago, I picked up the strategy guide for Kane and Lynch 2, and I got it for 50 cents. So for a total investment of $4.09, I now have the game and strategy guide. Next, I ran into Canadian Retro at a Value Village, and it was just before we met up at his place, for that 300 subscriber contest win that I had. And we met up we didn't meet up, we accidentally bumped into each other at a Value Village. And he had already been there, so there really wasn't much there. But there was this, Crysis Warhead, and I got this for $4. So I am a fan of these Crysis games, so that's the reason why I picked up. Afterwards, I went back to his place, and we were talking for a bit. And I recently picked up that Saturn from Josh from Game Hunters R Us, and we were talking about it, and kind of just, talking about how we never see Saturn games. And, really, I only had one game to play for it, blah, blah, blah. And, sure enough, the next day I went to a Goodwill and picked up Mist and NFL Quarterback Club 96. Nothing too spectacular, but these are actually the very first Saturn games I've ever found at thrift stores. So for each one I paid $5 a piece, and I was happy to pay that because, like I said, first time ever seeing them. Myst is obviously a port of the PC game Myst, and NFL Quarterback Club 96 is just a sports game, nothing special at all. Like I said, I paid $5 a piece for both of them. If you look at this here, I don't know if you can, it'll zoom in. This initially came from a CompuCenter, and the initial price was $64.99. Isn't that insane? Anyways, next up is Space Invaders. This is, I think it's a remake of the Atari Space Invaders. Got this at Value Village for $5, along with Centipede, which again was $5 as well. I don't think this is a direct kind of port of Centipede. It does include the original Centipede, but I think this is a different game altogether. So for $5, I figured I'd pick them both up. Next, I went to Ato Lease in Mississauga, and they had, I guess, just put out a whole bunch of Xbox games, and I got there, and there's this guy standing there looking at them, and I was just kind of hanging around, and this guy was looking at them for a long time, and I just kind of, I didn't want to like push him out of the way, because he was kind of there first, and you know, us Canadians are really polite and blah blah blah. So anyways, I was just kind of, you know, looking at CDs and VHS tapes, even though I had no interest in them, just hoping for him to put them down, and eventually he did. So when he put them down and walked away, I went right over there and snagged up 5 different ones. So first game here is Cold Fear, along with Dark Watch. Cold Fear, I believe, is a survival horror game. I don't know how good it is, but I don't know, I guess it's kind of like a Resident Evil-ish kind of thing. Dark Watch, I've seen a couple of people pick this up recently and say it's a pretty good game. So I figured for $5, might as well give it a try. It's a first-person shooter as well, so you know, I'm not too upset about that. The next two are Sudeki and Gladius. I really don't know much about these games, so don't really have too much to say about them. And lastly, at the Waterloo Video Games Swap, I picked up Midway Arcade Treasures 1. Well, they had Midway Arcade Treasures 2 there. And this is one of the games that guy was looking at. So when I saw it, I was like, oh man, come on, put it down, put it down. And he did eventually, like I obviously did. So I picked this one up, and it has a whole bunch of great games on it. Narc, Mortal Kombat, Gauntlet 2's on there, Rampage, Total Carnage, a whole bunch of others. There's, you know, 20 games on here, so I'm happy to have this. And I gotta say, the guy who turned these in, he definitely kept them in good shape, because every single disc is flawless. So that's what I got. Next, I went to my local game store. We Got Games, and a couple weeks back, or actually this was last week, I bought that Xenogears manual off of them, and I was just, you know, talking to the owner. I was kind of, you know, saying, hey, well, you don't have that pinball arcade, do you? Because I remember they had one traded in, and they were selling it for $15, and it was just something I wanted to play. And the very next week, or this past Tuesday when I went in, they had ordered one for me, and it was sitting on there, and I guess he forgot, you know, I was the one asking for it, and I totally forgot about it altogether. And I just saw it sitting there. I go, oh, let me take a look at that pinball arcade over there. And he goes, oh, you're the one who asked about this one, right? I'm like, yeah. And he handed it over to me, and I saw the $20 price tag. I'm like, ugh. I basically told him, you know, I'm going to pass right now, and when it's like $15, I'll pick it up. And he took it to, I guess, a cash where his computer is, and looked up what he paid for it, and I go, you know what, I'll do $15 for you right now. And that's what I paid for it, $15. My one and only find in Michigan, I got this at a Goodwill, and I paid $4. Actually, no, I got, it's $4 with 25% off, so it's $3. Mortal Kombat Trilogy, pretty much the only thing that was there, so I figured I'd pick it up. I remember playing this actually on the PC, and I put so many hours into this on the PC. So, I don't know. I know this came out on a lot of different systems, so I don't know if I'll end up keeping this one and trying to maybe get it on something else, or I don't know. We'll see. Next up is actually the last two are eBay purchases, and the very first one here is Legacy of Kane Soul Reaver Collector's Edition, and got this again on eBay. Ended up paying just under $12 for it, in flawless condition. So I know my game store sells it for $15 used, so you know, for $12 I figured might as well. Next one, next two actually are Commandos games, and I will say this right off the bat: Commandos Behind Enemy Lines is my favorite game of all time. And I obviously have Commandos Beyond the Call of Duty and Commandos 2 Men of Courage, but I tossed out my boxes years ago, and it was always something I wanted to get back. So I went on eBay and ended up picking up Commandos Beyond the Call of Duty. This one is brand new, and I got them both off the same seller actually. This one's brand new, and it's I ended up paying $9 for it. And Commandos 2 Men of Courage is used. Ended up getting this for $8. So definitely happy to have these back in the original big box form. These are one of the two of the games that I really want to get back into the big box. So obviously now I have extra, and I'll probably just end up selling those off. So anyways, those are the finds of the week. And as always, I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys find during the week. And until next time, take care.